There's a reason Paul Wall gets love everywhere he goes, from the south side of Houston to the stages of the Grammys. He's not the loudest in the room, he's never chased clout, but in a game where so many fade out or switch up, Paul Wall stayed real. This is the story of the People's Champ, a Houston legend who built his career not just on rhymes, but on respect. From freestyle battles in parking lots to platinum plaques and diamond grills. This is how Paul Wall became a symbol of Southern culture and why the city still rides for him. Paul Michael Slayton, born March 11, 1981 in Georgetown, Texas, was raised in Houston. He didn't come from fame, connections, or musical family. He came up around culture, around community. Houston in the late 80s and early 90s was bubbling with its own sound. DJ Screw was pioneering chopped and screwed music. Local rappers were telling stories that didn't sound like New York or LA. It was slow, heavy, bass-driven stories from the South. Paul Wall was one of those kids listening, a white kid from the North Side, completely immersed in the sound and slang of Houston. He wasn't imitating it, he was living it. He was the friend who actually understood the code, the cars, and the candy paint. That's what made him stand out later on. He didn't borrow from the culture, he respected it. In high school, Paul met a guy who changed his life, Chamillionaire. Both of them were obsessed with freestyling. They burned CDs, hit local car shows, and battled anyone with a mic. In 1998, they linked up with Swishahouse, a local label that was running the North Side. Swishahouse wasn't a big corporate label, it was a movement. Mixtapes, slow flows, trunk rattlers. DJ Michael 5000 Watts was the man behind it, slowing down every track until it felt like a syrup dripping out of the speakers. Paul and Chamillionaire started dropping verses on Swishahouse tapes, and the city took notice. They had a sound, clean delivery, witty bars, and real Houston energy. Before long, their freestyles were blasting from every car. By 2002, Paul Wall and Chamillionaire wanted to take things into their own hands. They left Swishahouse and started the color-changing clique. The mixtapes were everywhere. Get Your Mind Correct, Military, and Controversy Sells. They were still underground, but the buzz was undeniable. Get Your Mind Correct sold over 150,000 copies independently. No label, no radio, just hustle. That album made people realize Houston didn't need industry approval. The streets were the label. But with success came tension, different visions, different paths. Eventually Paul and Chamillionaire went their separate ways, but both carried the same Houston DNA. 2004, Houston was about to explode. Mike Jones dropped Still Tippin, featuring Slim Thug and Paul Wall. That song wasn't just a hit, it was a statement. Slow, heavy, syrupy, and unapologetically Southern. When Paul's verse came in, the whole world took notice. For years, people had looked at the Southern rap like it was a niche. But Still Tippin changed everything. It made the mainstream come to Houston instead of Houston trying to fit in with the mainstream. Paul became a symbol, not just for Houston, but for authenticity. He wasn't pretending, he was showing love to the city that raised him. 2005, Paul Wall released The People's Champ. The title said it all. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. Songs like Sitting Sideways and They Don't Know became instant classics. He was rapping for Houston, but the world was finally listening. His charm wasn't flashy, it was genuine. He talked like the people, dressed like the people, and acted like one of them. And behind the scenes, Paul was also running one of the biggest side hustles in hip-hop. In Houston, girls aren't just jewelry, they're a statement, a reflection of success, individuality, and pride. Paul and his business partner, Johnny Dang, built TV Johnny and Paul Wall Custom Grills. What started as a small shop in a flea market turned into a multi-million-dollar business. Everyone wanted one. Nelly, Lil Jon, T.I., Beyonce. When Nelly dropped grills in 2005, featuring Paul Wall himself,
what it do, baby? It's the Iceman power, wow. I got my mouth looking something like a disco ball.
The Iceman became the face of that culture. But here's what made it special. Paul didn't treat grills like a gimmick. He knew the roots. He respected how the culture viewed it as something deeper than fashion. To him, it was part of Houston's expression, creativity, pride, and community. By the late 2000s, Houston's wave started cooling off. The industry moved on to new sounds, trap, auto-tune, blog rap. Paul Wall never complained. He stayed low-key, stayed working. He dropped Get Money, Stay True in 2007, Fast Life in 2009, and he kept releasing projects for the fans who still rode with him. He wasn't chasing trends. At the same time, his personal life changed too. He became a husband, a father, and started focusing on health. He lost over 100 pounds after a gastric sleeve surgery, inspiring others with his transparency. Paul Wall showed that success doesn't have to come with ego. He was still that guy from Houston, approachable, humble, respected. What makes Paul Wall stand out even more is that he gives back. He's done charity drives, youth programs, and back-to-school events in Houston. He even helped provide free dental work for kids, connecting back to the same thing that made him famous, grills and smiles. He collaborates with schools, speaks at local events, and shows up where it matters most, the community that built him. In an era where rappers chase fame and forget their roots, Paul Wall never left the block. That's why he's called the People's Champ. Paul Wall has worked with legends, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Slim Thug, Bun B, and of course Chamillionaire. But he also continues to support new Houston artists, giving them cosigns and verses. He never turned his back on the next generation. In the 2010s and 2020s, he quietly built a solid discovery. Heart of a Champion, Slap God, Mind Over Matter, and Subculture. No radio hype, just consistency. He's also active in podcasts, local interviews, and Houston culture events, always showing love to where it started. And when people talk about the Mount Rushmore of Houston rap, names like Scarface, Bun B, Pimp C, Slim Thug, you'll always hear Paul Wall mentioned. Paul Wall's success wasn't about bars or hits, it was about respect. He entered a culture that didn't look like him, but he never tried to own it. He showed love, learned the history, and represented Houston the right way. That's rare, and that's real. Paul Wall became proof that hip-hop is bigger than color. It's about authenticity, contribution, and community. From freestyling with Chamillionaire in the parking lots, to selling out shows, to running a grill empire, Paul Wall's story is a blueprint on how to move with respect. He's not just a rapper, he's part of Houston's DNA. He helped bring Southern hip-hop to the world stage, one slowed down verse at a time. And after all these years, he's still smiling, diamond shining, heart pure. Because for Paul Wall, being the people's champ was never about fame. It was about family, faith, and Houston.